A lot of people have talked about this already, and I think they've gone one direction with it. Some people have gone another direction with it, and I want to be clear when we talk about this. Again, anytime we talk about anybody, do not contact the person. I think depending on who they are, I don't know about this person. Sometimes they want that to prove their point. So you're just giving them what they want. And it's not really even about the person that we're going to talk about partially. This is about Lucasfilm and Star Wars and Disney not reining in Lucasfilm and Lucasfilm just being ridiculously hypocritical and not knowing what they stand for, if they stand for anything, and trying to play both sides of a argument over and over again. And I'm getting tired of it. And I think a lot of people are getting tired of it, and it's going to start affecting sales. Now, before we get into this, we do have a secondary channel down in the description. I don't know why I can't say that word. Degenerate Plays, where we play through a lot of different video games. Just finished playing through Miles Morales. We are going to be playing some Star Wars stuff over there near future. Starting up Metal Gear Solid soon. There's a lot going on over there we hope you'll check out. Link in the description below as always. And please be sure to follow us on social media. We have Instagram, Twitter, a thriving Discord. A lot of stuff going on. We hope you will check out. Let's hop into it. T, you are here with me today. We are talking about a bit of a sensitive subject, kind of, but I think we're avoiding the sensitivity of it because it's not really about where people fall on a belief or anything like that. It's just about the company.
And the hypocrisy. And that's mostly what we're diving into today. And it's great to be here. And thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. We always appreciate you being here.
Well, thanks, man.
So, Krystina Arielle, who's been put in charge sort of the High Republic show, and also I apologize if I got the name wrong. Here's the thing, I get everybody's name wrong, so it's kind of a thing you just have to deal with on this channel. She has been placed in charge of part of Star Wars The High Republic, which is essentially the High Republic show. There has been a lot of outcry and anger over this, actually, and I've seen it from both sides of belief systems and stuff, too, just because of comments made by this person in the past that have been seen as hypocritical for Star Wars to support. I want to dive into a couple of these. T and I are trying to handle this sensitively. Normally, we don't, really. We just kind of say whatever we want. This is kind of a thing, though, where I also get the anger behind it to an extent and why it's such a big deal. Krystina Arielle has made a lot of comments alienating specific groups of people in the past, specifically white people. Now, they don't offend me. I personally don't really care. I've heard far worse. I've been called, mayo monkey before, that kind of thing.
You have?
Yeah, I have.
A mayo monkey?
Yeah, like that kind of thing, yeah. I've had people say, whitey, stuff like that to me, racial stuff. And it's like, yeah, I'm white. Okay.
I've never heard mayo monkey.
Yeah. I've had people say that kind of stuff before.
Oh, my gosh.
I mean, when you make videos online, people will find funny insults.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
But anyways,
dude,
she said this was about the debates in 2020. Watching two different white men discuss racism will never sit right with me. Look, that's not that bad. But then said, white men, this is not a subject for you to try and speak authoritatively in my comments. I said what I said. There's a lot of stuff like this as well. Just a reminder that white women are just as complicit in the upholding and enforcing of white supremacy. I don't have an ego. I am also not a bully. I've said repeatedly I don't owe white people a discussion about racism. I've been living with it. They've been doling it out. I am not entering a conversation where people are intent on not understanding me. Here's the thing with this. To me, this person seems very disenfranchised and very hurt. And that's the other thing that I want to say about this is I am not defending her comments at all. In fact, I don't like them, but they don't offend me. And the reason behind that is, to me, it looks like this is a person who has experienced some bad stuff, who is now in what I call a bit of a victim mentality, where it's like everybody...
Very defensive.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to be a dick about it. It's just like, you get this idea when you have some bad experiences that everyone's like that. We call that stereotyping. That's not a good thing to do. But I've said before, the human brain is wired to respond to threats if they get them multiple times as like, oh, this group is like this, whether it's a group of people that are a certain race or belief system or whatever. I've said it before as an extreme example. If a man beats up a woman, you can't blame the woman for being a little more jumpy around men for quite a while. People go through therapy. They go through a lot of stuff for bad experiences they've had. You probably shouldn't take it out on an entire group of people, but people do all the time. And this isn't really what we're getting into. I don't want this person to lose her job. I do think that when you are picking heads of projects or the face of your company, you probably need to be careful what they've said in the past, and that's just what it is. You can not like that all you want, but you just, it doesn't mean that you need to fire them. Like, I've seen people calling for her to be fired. I don't agree with that, but Star Wars Twitter did recently come out and actually defend her. She has gotten some very bad backlash for all of this, but they had straight up said just a little bit ago, and I'm trying to find the actual comment, our Star Wars community is one of hope and inclusivity. That's cool. I don't believe that that's been going on, but fair enough. They want it to. We do not stand for bullying and racism. I don't think anyone really does for the most part. We support Krystina Arielle. And look, I don't care. You know, like, you stand behind your employee, that's fine. But there's a lot of hypocrisy behind this in a lot of ways that Star Wars has been trying to play these issues like they care. All of them. They recently ignored James Earl Jones' birthday. Prominent black actor, James Earl Jones, voice of Darth Vader, brought him to life several times, and they just straight up ignored him. And this was like right about on MLK Day. They still commented happy birthday to Kelly Marie Tran, which is cool. I don't think you should take away from Kelly Marie Tran's birthday, and I think she got dealt a bad hand with that character.
But comparatively, you're talking about Darth Vader and Rose, right? That's who she played? Yeah, so like that's if you're going to wish her a happy birthday, not that we're getting petty over birthday wishes here, but at the same time...
No, she should get one too.
But Darth Vader should probably get a birthday wish if we're doing that, you know?
And before someone points it out, the Star Wars UK Twitter did give him a happy birthday, but that's run probably by a different person in the United Kingdom.
Sure.
So it's like whoever was running the Star Wars Twitter here didn't see fit around MLK Day to wish a prominent African-American actor happy birthday. But they made a big deal about MLK Day on Star Wars Twitter. And Star Wars did. Like, they talked about how important it is. And I think it is important. But the point is, like, you preach one thing, you live another, you know? They will support some of these comments. They will disavow others. There were tons of calls now to fire Gina Carano under this tweet where they were supporting Krystina Arielle, which is like, if you can't fire Krystina Arielle for this stuff she said, which you could say is out of context, a year ago outside of her job, why would you fire Gina Carano? Do you get what I'm getting at here?
Mm-hmm. I do. Yeah.
And the other thing, too, it's been going on forever. That's why this is about the hypocrisy of Lucasfilm and Star Wars and Disney, in my opinion. Which, by the way, it's not even Disney making these comments. They just don't frickin' rein Lucasfilm in. I don't understand it. You don't see any of this from the MCU. Like, anyone involved in it. You don't see anything like this from anyone involved in Disney animation. They know when to shut up, you know, and not try and throw their weight around behind these comments. We saw this too with The Last Jedi, where it was like, there were actual people involved in the Star Wars brand calling people names for not liking it.
Yeah, and I think that's maybe the problem is, like, it seems like they either don't have a PR team, or like the PR team is just not really engaged, or is just really not doing a great job of managing these things. Because Star Wars, for whatever reason, the brand seems to have a controversy going around it, and not like a massive debilitating controversy, but there's just small ones that, like, really just kind of fan the flames over and over again. And it's not like this, like, Star Wars is collapsing in on itself by any means, but I think it's frustrating to see the hypocrisy and the lack of control, like, I guess control maybe that's not a great word, but just the and a lack of consistency with the company. They're really stimulating a lot of anger in their fan base, and their fan base is already very angry to begin with. So if you just got a lot of very angry people mad all the time about stuff that's going on, and they keep kind of just handing them these things to be mad about.
Yes, and we see it over and over from different people, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be one group. Now, you can say what you believe online. I don't think that's really the problem. I do think everyone should think before they speak, you know? And so with those comments from Krystina Arielle, I've told you this before, I say this to everybody, if you could ever insert in another thing into your sentence, like, just, now you could play this and be like, well, no, you can remove the word and put the F-bomb in there. Oh, that's bad. But I'm saying, like, if you can remove a group of people or an idea and throw another one in, and it sounds awful, you shouldn't be publicly saying it. Now, so listen to this. All Christians are blank. Now, a lot of people probably wouldn't blink at that because Christianity has had some rough spots and it is open to scrutiny. But if I throw in another religion, that could be a problem. And so my point is maybe you shouldn't say that first thing because it's going to sound douchey. That's all it is. It doesn't mean you can't think that. I mean, you probably shouldn't, but it doesn't mean you can't. You're open to your freedom of thought. It's just, you got to be careful when you're sharing some of this stuff. And how can you not expect it to come back to bite you when you're put in charge of something?
Well, and that's what I think is maybe what people are concerned and annoyed about is someone who, says something like that and then is in charge of, I think it's the High Republic is what you were saying.
Not the whole thing, but the show. Yeah.
But the show. So you're worried about something that maybe people are very excited about, and her kind of maybe really pushing a narrative in there. When really you're trying to escape into Star Wars, and that's really what the objective is. And you get worried when I guess it like injecting things that are way more noticeable than they should be, and it's clear that it's like this is what's happening in the real life and in the real world. And I don't know, it just I think for me, like, it's okay to say what you think and to have people react to it the way that you want. But I think the reason that people were concerned is because they're afraid of that getting injected into Star Wars.
Well, I think they've seen it, too. I mean, like, not that narrative specifically, but we saw that with the sequel trilogy. There was a lot of push. Look, also, before anyone says I'm a hater of the sequel trilogy, I'm one of the few people on this channel, and I run this channel, who liked the sequels. Most of the people in the comments hate them, even in my own channel, and that's fine. It doesn't bother me. You're free to hate them. I'm not going to stick up for them. But, like, I loved episode 7. I thought 8 was a bit of a train wreck. Good ending. And I liked 9. You know, like, a lot of people on this channel hate all 3 of them. And that's fine. I'm not invalidating that. But I'm just saying, like, I was there in, like, the front row watching Solo with a grin on my face and popcorn in my hands. I have gone to these movies. I've enjoyed them. Even the ones with problems. It's not really that. But there was really a push in the sequels of, like, Rey doesn't really need to train. Don't worry about that. You know, like in 7 and 8, there was a push like, well, let the past die. Kill it if you have to. Let's get rid of them. You know, there has been this injection of like, kill old Star Wars, bring new. And if you don't like new, you're the problem. It's because you're X, Y, and Z. It's because people attacked Kelly Marie Tran. And look, you're going to have these people that are dicks. I would argue most of them are actually not racist. They're using terminology they know will make you angry. So, like, we saw this with Krystina Arielle. I'm not going to talk about the messages she got, but she leaked some of the messages people sent her after this thing came out, and they were horrible. By the way, those reinforce her point of view. They really do. Like, you don't want to do that anyway, because, like, so let's say someone says, all blank are this, and you're like, well, I'm going to prove you wrong by being that. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You know, like, you're just proving her right. I don't even agree with her, but like that's what you're doing. I mean, it's this happens over and over again. It's like I have this narrative. Well, I'm going to prove you wrong by proving the narrative right. It's like
right.
Okay, like all you've done is further radicalize this person. It's not worth it. And I'm just so tired of this too. I mean, we saw this too with Justina Ireland, who wrote for Star Wars: The High Republic as well, who said the problem is if you don't like my politics and my beliefs and my moral compass, you aren't going to like my books. So let's just go ahead and save everyone some time. So this is a representative of LucasArts.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Saying don't buy my stuff.
Yeah, that's I guess what I'm saying is that like you've got, she's really pushing, which you've seen.
This is a different person, by the way.
Right.
Like, just to make sure you.
But like that's what people I think would be concerned about with the Christina person is like that's the concern I guess of that going into the High Republic show. And that doesn't mean that this doesn't happen in the past and that authors don't have their own beliefs.
Let the past die.
Thank you. I'm glad you said that.
Kill it if you have to.
But like that's not to say that you can't have that stuff in there. But if that's there's so much content now that really, I mean, look at the CW, for example, where they're just forcing things down your throat.
CW is hilarious, where it's just like Oliver Queen is like one episode. I don't really see the problem with guns. I use a bow and arrow, and then like he gets held hostage practically with a gun. It's like all guns are bad.
Yeah, dude.
It's like it's the most heavy-handed stuff. That's the problem for me is there's no subtlety.
I think, not to say that would happen with this, but I can see maybe why people are concerned about that because you've got you've got some pretty it's obvious what their leanings are over at CW. And when you make what their leanings are here, and then if they're going to force that into the show, I think it can be really frustrating. You can alienate a portion of your audience, which if you just want to have Star Wars content, there's a lot of political stuff in the prequel trilogy. It's like basically all politics in the first 2 movies.
We will watch your career with great interest.
Yeah, dude. And like, and that was great, and it showed a lot of like really cool nuances, and not great. I shouldn't say 1 and 2 are not fantastic movies.
I still like them, but yeah, I know I get what you're saying.
You know, but like, I guess I could see where some of the concern is with that.
Well, and also, I do want to throw a couple things more out here, and then we'll be done. We're not going to go into this for 30 minutes. Another hypocrisy thing, too, that I pointed out to you that I'm just going to throw out there, people can react to it however they want, is that they straight up minimized Finn, John Boyega's character, in the sequel posters for overseas, because they basically inferred that Chinese audiences would not want to see a person of color in a lead role. Like, I'm not going to get into some of the baggage in China and other countries with that stuff. That's their baggage to sort out. But I do think that's a problem for Star Wars to be kind of bending the knee to that idea. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's not like, and they also obviously shafted his character, gave him the backseat in the entire trilogy. Yeah, basically. Like, that's all he does. And even he had a problem with that. And they didn't make public statements, really, for the most part, supporting Kelly Marie Tran when stuff was going on with her or any of this stuff. For the most part, they didn't go out of their way to do that. I mean, certain people did in the company, and they were dicks about it. But I'm saying, like, the Star Wars Twitter didn't, like, just officially do all this stuff to be like, hey, listen, knock it off. I don't think they know what they stand for. And my problem is you don't have to stand for anything. You're a company.
Right.
Make your thing. Do your thing. Bring in different authors that have different messaging that can, spread that messaging around and make people think, make people ask questions. That's cool. But don't act like you're high and mighty about it. Don't act like it's all one thing and one problem. Does this make sense? There's a lot of saying one thing and doing another with Lucasfilm.
Yeah, I think that's just the problem. And like you said, it's not really, like, obviously there are political beliefs that get pushed into a lot of content and stuff, but it's just the hypocrisy of it, I think, is where people get frustrated and where it's just like, well, you say one thing, you do another thing, and I think that's why people would get bothered regardless, but I think that's what's genuinely frustrating for us as fans, as watching, is that it's just, you're not consistent in what you say and what your actions and stuff, and I think that's frustrating.
Well, yeah, and also too, I can separate art and artist, but going into stuff like I can't even avoid this anymore. Mm-hmm. It's everywhere now. And for me, if I see someone saying like, "Well, if you don't like my politics, you won't like my book," I'm not going to buy your book now. I'm not saying like you should be canceled. But, like, I don't seek that stuff out for these authors ahead of time. It just gets shoved at me because it's everywhere.
Well, and that's what's going to impact them, is if they start to see, like, well, don't buy my book. And it's like, okay, well, I won't then. So then your sales go down, and I think that's the reaction that maybe you'll see Lucasfilm, like, react accordingly when that happens. And I think it will. I think that is something that will happen.
Yeah, I think so too. Well, anyways, let us know what you think in the comments down below. What are your thoughts on this entire thing? Are you going to buy these books? Are you not? What are your thoughts on the High Republic? Are you tired of this hypocrisy in the brand? Do you try to look the other way on it? I feel like you can't anymore. It's just everywhere. Even if you don't look it up, there's articles about it. Everything everywhere is just talking about all these different things, and it's so exhausting. I guess you could say it's like, well, you're part of the problem for bringing it up, but it's like, I do think people need to call this stuff out and be like, hey, listen, you got to cut the crap out. It's getting ridiculous. I do think you need to be able to say what you believe, but you should think before you speak and think about how you say things and how they will be interpreted too. That's part of your job as a representative of a company. It's the same reason I don't go out and say or do certain things when I'm on YouTube. I mean, it doesn't mean I can't, but I'm just like, as like somebody where they could point and be like, oh, look at this creator. It's like, well, it's just not worth it. You have to think about this stuff. Let us know what you think in the comments down below. We're very interested. Be sure to check out the secondary channel, please. We appreciate you very much, growing very quickly. We'll see you in the next one. Have a fantastic day. As always, stay shway.